in chapter 4 we're going to talk about. God's peace, God's power, God's provision. That's what chapter 4 is broken down into. God's peace, we'll talk about today, God's power next Sunday, and God's provision. Now, Paul is dealing with that because he wants the church to remain effective, and to be effective, you've got to be unified. For your marriage to be effective, you've got to be unified. For your business to be effective, you've got to be unified. Okay? Now, if you've ever worked in a place, you realize that it's hard to keep unity among the workers. It's hard to keep unity between management and staff. John talked about his trip to Las Vegas. Well, I'll tell you what it is. If your purpose ain't right, the numbers don't matter. If you don't know why you're doing something, it doesn't matter. And so, just like our purpose motto is loving God, loving people, to expand that, it says we want to reach everybody in our area with the gospel of Christ to let them know they're loving people and loved by God. So the purpose of our life is not us. The purpose is seeking God. God's purpose is our purpose, okay? And so I asked this question, what is worry? Now, my mother was an expert worrier. Dosha Shaw, bless her heart, she could invent things to worry about. She would say it's a West Kentucky thing maybe, I don't know, or Mississippi thing. But when we went to bed, we had to check every light in the house to make sure they're off. Even the refrigerator. Now, it's hard to check the refrigerator being off because it's got the door closed. So unless you got Superman eyes, you can't really see if the refrigerator. She'd say, is the lights off? Yeah, is it off in the refrigerator? Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. But she'd worry. Then if we came home from church, she'd say, check on the bed. That's where first place Robert go, on the bed. I said, Mama, this will be the last place Robert will rob on C Street. She said, you never can tell. Neighborhood's changing. Okay, well, anyway. What is worry? Worry means to be pulled in different directions. Pulled in different directions. Now, I want you to think about that. Isn't that what worry is? You see, if you're worried about something, you don't think God can quite handle it, and you can't handle it, and the world is telling you something different, so you're pulled in all type of directions, right? So worry means you pull in different directions. Now, our hope pulls us in one direction, hope pulls us in one direction, and fears pull us in a different direction. So fears pull us one way, hope pulls another way, and what happens is, if you had ropes on my hands and feet pulling in different directions, how far am I going? I'm not going anywhere because I'm split in two. But I'm not going to walk. I'm not going to be able to do anything if I'm pulled in two directions. So that's really the base of worry, okay? Now, here's some practical counsel he gives in the first couple of verses. He says, so then, that kind of means like therefore, so then, my brothers, you are dearly loved and longed for, my joy and my crown. In this manner I stand firm in the Lord, dear friends. Then he urges those two people, Euodia and urged Syntyche to agree in the Lord. Now, this is the formulation of joy. It's important that these two humans agree. The word agree means unify, okay? Division is not of God. Division is not of God, especially in churches. I urge these two people to agree in the Lord. Yes, I have also asked your true partner to help these women. The true partner means partner in ministry. To help these women who have continued for the gospel at my side, along with Clement and the rest of my co-workers whose names are in the book of life. Every time I see Bobby Brown Funeral Home, we go back a long time, about 25 years. One of the first funerals I had in Hardin County was at the Mill Creek Cemetery. And this fella had been a veteran and had a lot of medical issues and other type personal challenges. So his family sent out word they wanted nobody to come to the funeral home. Nobody to come to the funeral home. And don't you any come to the cemetery for the burial. Now, Bobby Brown and I talked about that. And how do you keep anybody from coming to the funeral home? It's kind of a public type thing, you know. There was a family struggle, a division, and some of the family liked this man, some didn't, and all kind of problems. So they said to Bobby Brown and to myself, we want nobody except our little family here coming to the funeral home. And we basically said, we can't stop folks coming to the funeral home. So we had the funeral home visitation. They came out to the Mill Creek Cemetery for burial. Well, as the funeral cars pull into the cemetery, the other part of the family, comes over the hill. Kind of like the Battle of Gettysburg. Came over the hill there, you know. And I noticed this was a honor guard funeral from Fort Knox, okay? So I noticed that when the funeral cars pulled up in the cemetery, the family car, nobody got out. You just sit there. And sit there. And I saw Bobby Brown. He went over to the funeral car. He looked in, said something, closed the door, and came back out and came to me. He said, she won't get out of the car because his family's over here. Will you talk to him? Don't you just love being a preacher? Oh, yeah, you love it. Will you talk to him? And I said, well, sure. I thought, no big deal. So I went back to the car, opened up the car door, honor guard, getting ready to do the 16-gun salute and all that stuff. I opened up the door. I said, now, ma'am, you know, we're here today to honor God and your brother. Can't we all just get along? She said, that's your opinion. And I wanted to say, guys, point your gun toward the car and fire. But it's just, that's how ridiculous some people are. And you think that's funny, but that's how ridiculous some people are. I mean, they're more concerned about what their feelings are than paying respect to a loved one. Y'all been through things like that before. It's a word for it called stupid. It's stupid. It is really stupid. And that offends you, well, the word is stupid. Because if you're more concerned about how you feel than the memory of your loved one, that's stupid. We need to really, really, really look at those kind of things. And you run people all day long like that, right? You need to give them their sign. Right? I mean, people can say the dumbest things. You come out of McDonald's, you say, here somebody says to you, are you eating? Here's your sign. No, I just stopped McDonald's, see how it's going, you know. Make sure the milkshakes are right thickness. Here's your sign. Well, people do say some stupid things or dumb things, and some is innocently done. I do it too, you know. But here's what he says about practical counseling. He says, encourage them to get along, to help these women who have contended for the gospel. He said they've been faithful Christians. They're faithful Christians, but they just need to get along and get over that. Get over that little bump. Get over that little hump. God has given me a forgiving heart as a pastor. It's hard for me not to forgive somebody about anything. So, worry is wrong thinking. Worry is wrong thinking. And then worry is the great thief of joy. And then the antidote to worry is a secure mind. He's talking about a secure mind, chapter 4. The antidote to worry is a secure mind. It is a peace of God that guards our minds. When you are down, lift Him up. When you're down, lift Him up. Don't try to lift you up. Self-help books say lift yourself up. No, lift God up. When you lift God up, it'll lift you up, okay? And so, when you're down, lift Him up. All right, now look at the priority of joy in verses 4 and 5. Rejoice, and the word joy is the same thing. In other words, have joy in the Lord. Always. Now let's just stop there a minute. Rejoice always, always. Always. Now how many of us have already broken that word a million times? He says, rejoice the Lord always. What does that mean? Has he lost his mind? Has he been around that tannin fluid too much that Paul used to tan those hides? What's wrong with that man? Well, he says your attitude ought to be that way. It doesn't mean that it's your joy, but you're tapped into His joy. And here's how you do it. Lord, I don't feel joyous, but I want your joy, not my joy. Okay? It's how you look at it, the perspective. He says, rejoice the Lord always. You know, if I'm out with a hammer and I'm trying to drive a nail and I hit my thumb, I say, rejoice in the Lord.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
I say, whoa. I may not say it, but I'm thinking it, okay? Well, if you're thinking it, don't y'all laugh. You do the same thing. You may not say it, but you think it. And the Bible says when you think it, when you thunk it, it's just as bad as doing it, okay? All right. Now, rejoice the Lord always. I will say it again. He says it 3 times. Rejoice the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. Now, you got to ask yourself a question. How do I do that? What's the practicality of that? Well, you got to feed your mind the right kind of stuff. You got to feed your mind with joy. You got to fill your heart with joy. You got to fill your life with joy, and I fall short of it sometimes. I'm not always putting joy in my life, but you'll find you put joy in your life, it's the antidote for worry and anxiety, okay? How many of you would say today, you got to raise your hands, that I really have a challenge with worry, anxiety, and that reality, my friends, affects your health. If you're letting worry be on your mind and heart, and you just worry about things, it will affect your life. It'll affect your health.